They
All
bring
right.
what dwarf, Jeebs?
The door. I don't. We never made a promise to bring that forged door from Gatesill to back to Redwall.
Actually, we did.
Oh, we
We
did.
said we'd at least attempt it.
Yeah, we did
All
do
right,
that.
then assume that he was brought back, that Arashi had him with him when they walked into Redwall, and
Yeah, I didn't.
go from there.
Yeah,
Or that
nice.
they'll make the comment that they brought him back, but he disappeared the moment they got to Redwall. Something of the sort.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, because I'd forgotten about that dwarf.
Yeah, we did say we'd at least make an attempt to.
Yeah.
However, we had no intentions of going Redwall anytime in the near future. That's why I was like, no?
Yeah. But yeah, with that taken care of, with that taken care of, yeah. So Alana will take the one seat, Arashi will take the other, and with the two of you piloting it, Alana, your self-taughtness, going through rather easy, Arashi helping cover whatever you're like covering anything else that might be needed as you go through the portal, like enter the ley line below and start to travel back, swimming through this weird technicolor dimension river that seems to flow in every direction at once. You think you just traveled through the 7th dimension at some point as you turned around back on yourself, but eventually as things come to an end, you emerge out in the central forest park area of Ashenport, as you have previously, and the tank apparatus kind of walks off the waygate, which is still sitting there, embedded in the ground, as it has been for months at this point, and kind of comes to a stop as it sets down, and the rear hatch opens for everyone to get out.
Alright, Elana was driving, or was Arashi driving?
I was.
Alana was doing most of the driving, Arashi was helping as needed. And he was actually keeping a fairly close eye on Alana to see how she handled the piloting.
So,
Got my eye on you.
better than it usually does.
Yes, well, this isn't your first rodeo.
Well, no, it's just it felt like it was a smoother ride in general in comparison to the other ley lines we've traveled on with this thing.
We've only gone on one other one.
And between this one and that one, this one was a smoother ride.
And that one was also the first time you've taken it through the ley line.
So is that saying something about Lana's driving improving?
Or just the fact that we know how everything works.
True.
Yeah.
Although I think going through it, without the device would have gotten us used to it.
Well, going through it without a device makes you horribly, horribly sick, as Cassidy could tell you. And with all this taken care of, Mara will politely excuse herself to go and relax back at her room at the inn. Azul will kind of stretch and kind of go off and wander on her own thing, bugger off, do her own thing. And that kind of leaves the rest of the group. So now that you're back in Ashport, it's about midday-ish. You've taken care of this big ordeal. You know that the Baron is kind of going off to speak to the little, essentially, council as well that he had left here between Father O'Malley. I'm not going into the rest of his name. Chase, Arashi was, of course, technically a part of it. And Garrett, because Garrett knows... Oh, God, when's Garrett's sister going to get here? I'm going to look half forward when that happens.
Alright, I need to talk to Chase in game. However, I need to go use the restroom. I got Whimpermutt right now, so.
Alright, yeah.
I'll be right back.
So, everyone else, have anything you want to do now that you are back in familiar territory where only the environment is trying to kill you?
Yeah. And whoever's controlling it. Anyways, Surina's probably just going to take a look around the town and check up on the construction work and see how all the refugees have been settling in, whether it's been going well.
Yeah. All right.
I forget, who did we go to do the scrying for the apparatus? That gave us all the markers on the thing.
That was actually done in Gatesill.
Gatesill. Yes, that was.
It was at
you might
the
be able
College
to
of Divination.
You might be able to ask Chase.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to have Chase if she could do kind of a divination spell that would be able to show us the locations of other things like that person did.
It's a shame that Lily never mentioned the fortune telling she had done, because that fortune teller would probably have been able to do exactly the same thing.
Well, no point to it now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you could probably go talk to Ash Chase about that as well. See if you could find more about it. You're just trying to locate more ideally where all the sigils are.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out where all the sigils are because Alana's really curious if the one that we picked up off of that robot thing was actually the one out in that location.
Yeah, I think it was.
All right. So if you're gonna go up to ask Chase about that first, when you get up there, you see at the Baron's Manor, you see that he is currently talking. Arashi had joined him up there. He is currently talking with Chase, Father O'Malley, who kind of rushes up after you, and Garrett, who he walks in himself his own joyful manner. He has not known the hell which is about to descend upon him in a month's time.
Can Surina be the one who tells him?
Do you really want to tell him and ruin the surprise?
Oh no! Oh, I thought you said that somebody had already done it. So
no,
no,
he doesn't know yet. So he is not aware of the hell that is going to descend upon him in about a month's time.
Oh my God! Serena's going to make this the perfect thing. She's just going to, whenever she sees Garrett, she's going to look at him and laugh and never explain what it is.
And he's going to be getting mildly paranoid as time goes on. But yeah, regardless. So they're going to be up there talking. The Baron will kind of explain how he has finished this ordeal with the dwarves, and they actually have willingly bestowed upon him a higher title. He'll show him the signet ring, declaring that he is now a count instead of a baron. I'm gonna keep calling him a baron because it's pretty much it's ingrained in my head, and in my mind, I suppose count. The three, in my view, the three coolest sounding titles are Count, Duke, and Baron.
Count Dooku?
Dooku is a nice sounding was a cool sounding name, but those three titles are some of the coolest sounding ones in my head. It's if I had to choose a title, if I could get away with Baron, I would probably want that just because it sounds cooler in my head.
Yeah.
But regardless, so I'll go through explain that how Ashfield is now a count instead of a baron, which gives him more right to all the claims that he has been having to make claims to. All the stuff with that going back and forth, and he kind of just thanks everyone for keeping an eye on his town. They report that there was no real danger. In fact, Arashi kind of gave him a little brief overview of how things went since they were gone, and there was no actual danger in the town itself while he was gone. Things were more or less taken care of. There seemed to be a bit more freak weather around the area, but nothing in particular seemed to want to come near Ashenport. And by extension, didn't want to really go down towards Northbridge or the other cities. It seemed to go more along towards the east of the actual little peninsula they're on.
So there's been more storms, but they're heading east, basically.
It's it hasn't been quite to the same extent as the storm that swallowed up Winterguard, but there's been more in the area.
Do we know where, the center of the storms tend to be around?
Let's move everyone to the map.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay, so we're
So,
here.
yeah, we're up there currently. So zoom in really, really far. So they were mostly along the coast itself, and they kind of seem to go along this way more. They barely missed Northbridge, and they were going down more this way-ish.
So kind of around Dome of the Starry Lady.
Yeah, they were going down more towards the Starry. The Dome is the actual
Oracle
island,
Lake.
so they're going down Oracle Lake more than likely.
Has the island here moved at all recently?
It's been moving around. I've been moving it about every session a little bit. It hasn't been going too far from Oracle Lake, but it's been moving around.
Yeah, it's been.
No, it was more just
Like, it
You said
moves
they're-
someone like this so far.
Oh,
Because you said they're moving like kind of like that, right?
There-ish.
who are we talking about moving?
The
I missed that.
storms. The storms
Ah.
themselves, like the freak weather.
So it's probably only about like a 30-mile off. It looks like they're heading towards that floating island.
It would seem that way initially, but when it got to about here, it kind of made a sharp curve this way away from it. And then, like, the storms kind of vanished a little bit.
So it hit the lake,
It's like
and then it went this way.
they seemed to split when it hit the lake, and it kind of vanished a little bit from there.
I kind of want to go investigate that lake then, because we've already come to the conclusion that the storms have been magically induced,
Yeah.
but why weren't they able to go into the lake? Or just over it?
Was there something actually stopping them, or was there something else?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we already know that the island itself has a bunch of storms on it.
All right.
And Surina would be able to share that knowledge if they asked.
Yeah.
But
Oh, no, I know it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So my guess would either be that they're trying to bring the storms in time to meet up with the island moving, or they're trying to use
No.
the island not being over the lake, or something.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Because they were moving, hit the lake, just like right here at the edge of the lake, and then instead of going into the lake at all, it all just kind of spread around and dispersed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's something special about that lake that I want to go investigate.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Regardless, did you want to talk to Chase? I'm assuming you were there for the actual meeting, so did you want to talk to her? Because it's not going to be like really the longest thing. He's probably going to spend some time getting back into checking in on everyone and going from there.
Yeah. I was just going to ask her, do you happen to... a little while ago, she'll show the map and all the kind of marked locations.
Mhm.
We got these locations told on where things like the apparatus that had that sigil on them, where they are. Do you happen to know a spell that could kind of show the same thing?
And she'll kind of look at it for a second. I might actually have a spell that can do that. Yes. Do you have one of the sigils that you can have right here, or could you get a drawing off of the apparatus to show me?
She'll pull out the one that was ripped off of the Tyrannosaurus, basically.
All right. Yeah, the fog beast.
Tyrannobot.
Yeah,
I call it
fog.
Tyrannobot.
Yeah, I know you do. All right. So, and she'll kind of look at this, and she'll kind of nod, and she'll start going through a little design herself, and she'll kind of bring out her own map of the area. And you can see that this map of the area is actually quite interesting because it goes great more detail up into the north side of the of the bays to the north. So it goes a bit further than even the map here I have shown you guys. And I'll actually move everything up at a later point so that you can see more of it. But for now, just believe me when I say it goes further up than that. And she'll kind of go through like a similar process where she will use, it looks to be like a some kind of bone, possibly a dragon's finger attached to a string, which she's using for a fairly similar procedure to what the divination mage used, though he had like a crystal, I believed. And she'll go through a similar procedure, and she'll go through and mark a bunch of locations with it as well, as it kind of like the finger pulls itself down to point at a point on the map. And as she goes top to bottom, you get a point that is up here. Oh, let me get back
Same
to this.
location?
Yeah, you get a point that is up here, same location. Goes through, you get a point over right here, which is, you know where you're at in Ashenport. And she'll kind of keep moving it, and it'll go back there for a second point. As she moves it around more, comes over to red wall. Nothing. Moving it back over, it goes back to where Ashenport is for a third time. Moving it back down further.
We
back
got
and
three of them.
Yeah, going back and further as she moves it around more. When you get over Oracle Lake, there is a new one. It kind of goes down dead center of Oracle Lake.
Yeah, we're going there next.
Yeah, and as she keeps moving around, it again stops over here in the Runewold, though as you've marked on your map, it's actually a little off center.
Hmm.
keeps moving around. It of course stops over where, like, over in a point right here, and Garrett's still in the area. You ask him where the floating city is right now, and he says it's about a little bit north of Husil, West Helm, around about that area. And it kind of just stops, and it hits that location several times as it did previously, as like something major's there, and it's not like stopping on the surface, it's like pulling to a point above the map. So same thing as you've seen before, and you believe that to be just, it's pointing at the floating island once more. Moving it around once more, you get the a point over here where this is, and another
I'm back.
point. Welcome back. Another point over here in South Shore, though this one is also a little off center, as though it's been moved.
What are we looking at?
We got Chase to do another divination thing to see if we could find if any of the things moved, if we got any of them, sort of thing.
Yeah, so the one that was in Redwall had completely disappeared. You had 3 pings.
Yeah,
in
we have it.
Yeah, you had 3 pings in Ashport, which represents you have 3 sigils there. You have the plate off the Fog Beast, you have the apparatus itself, and you have the Waygate.
Right, the Waygate. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Waygate. You had a new ping here in Oracle Lake, which you had not seen before. You had the ping over here in the Runewald, which actually had moved. It's like still in the Runewald, but it had moved slightly from where you'd marked it initially. And the same one that was down here in South Shore, it's still there, but it had moved slightly. And then
All right,
the one that was over here was...
So all these guys are moving, which is interesting.
Not all of them.
of them.
Just those 2 have moved. And there's the new one in Oracle
This
Lake.
one hasn't.
And the
What,
one
and
on
that
the
one's
Pale
just a
Tower
new
is not
one.
moved.
What Falana wants to do is trace a line for where movement has been.
All right, so the movement for this one, it's
Also-
been about that direction, about that direction, and that's about all there's been movement-wise.
Was
Okay,
there anything above the Pale Tower location? She
And
has a higher
like
map.
Like I said, Chase's map does actually go up higher than what the actual map here shows, and I'm gonna move everything around to reflect that later on. No, you are getting no pings currently that go in this higher region above the Felllands.
Okay.
Nothing
What about
yet,
this
anyway. And she kind of makes a point to
over
go up
here?
there and double check that. And no, you don't get anything over there as well. But you almost get the feeling that that is so far away from everything. And you do kind of believe that most of these things come from the floating island. And it was no way recorded to ever be in that area. And that is so far away from everything else.
Things to make sure on.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
something
To make sure
on.
on.
But yeah, they're like she'll, and as you asked Shay, she'll move the little dragon finger,
Knuckle bone.
knuckle bone, whatever you want to call it, over there, and it, like, no indication whatsoever, and she'll kind of stop after a moment and kind of nod. These are the only indications I've seen.
Now, Chase, I have a question for you, and no offense, but how did you end up in the Temple of Inverted Elements?
Wow, just going right straight there.
Yep.
Of inverted elements? Where did you hear about that from?
Surina will break in and say, "We heard about it from Baron Ash, from the Count. Now, he brought it up as reasons for why he managed to survive for decades without aging a single day, according to the dwarves."
I don't actually know how I found myself in the temple itself. All I remember is being there, and I had my spell book with me, though I was still young enough at the time to not really be very familiar with it. It only had a few spells in it. And when I woke up, I remember it was like a dark, cold area, and I just kind of hidden in shadows, not knowing what was going on, where I was. It was probably a few days when I actually saw the 3 of them come in, wandering through the adventuring.
Do you remember the events that led you before that?
I do not.
Then perhaps it is the key I've been looking for.
I wonder what.
And Chase will kind of look back at it, Falana. It's like, even if it is, it would not be probably the best thing to immediately look into. They sealed the temple when they left, and the temple itself seemed to seal itself even more. I don't
Well,
even know if it's possible to open it.
well, if I'm right, it was because the Elven King wronged the elements in there by trying to tamper things for his own greed. Perhaps we right from wrongs. It might correct the issue.
Hmm, I I don't know. I didn't do a lot of looking into it. That place, it feels it doesn't feel right. It's not like it's evil or anything of the sort. It feels like it's off. Like instead of north, south, east, and west, for example, it's always northeast or whatever. It's just slightly at a weird. And she just kind of keeps going on like this, unable to properly explain what she means.
Because of the natural alignment of elements, earth being north, fire being south, wind being west, water being east, which I think that those last two reversed. No, it's possible that because they're inverted, it's throwing off cardinal directions as well. I'm pretty sure a compass in itself will further prove this point.
Oh no,
However,
it's not like that. I mean, even being there, it did not feel right.
could it
Something,
be could be dipped into another world.
perhaps.
Well, any place where the elements are reversed and go against themselves in normal times is probably sure to feel wrong no matter how you look at the area.
True.
However, at this time it does feel like it's the best course of action I have, unfortunately. That's disappointing.
If you really want to look into that, you're going to have to look into a way to open it, though I would not even know where to begin to start with that.
And I doubt it would be a good idea to start on an adventure to open up that temple when we still have these many troubles here.
Hmm.
So many quests, so little time.
Indeed.
At the same time, though, this is the only lead I have, so in recent times relating to how to find her. Interesting.
Mm.
We're still going to go to the lake first because it's closer. There's something weird with the storms around it.
Yeah, and as you're kind of making the comment about wanting to go to the lakes first, you can actually kind of see Rashi, who was in the air. He was kind of leaning against the wall, like you were in the. I'm gonna go with you were in a side room of the or you were actually in Shace's room, which was the side building off of the Baron's Manor, and you kind of see him like he's outside, leaning against the side of the manor, and you kind of just sighs there, and he kind of steps towards the doorway. Oh, so you're gonna be heading down south? That's a pity. I'll have to find someone else to take care of
A
that for
little.
me.
What are you looking for?
I had heard rumors of a interesting little device that. Well, let me give you a little history lesson. In the ages past in this realm, there were several crusades that had gone up to the northern wastes, and one in particular was led by a rather interesting inquisitor. And this man, who was known to always be able to see right through a man, to see what he believed or what he was at the core of his being. Now, most of this was attributed to the man just having like a powerful stare or something of the sort, though I believe that the secret was actually in a item he had. It's not a spyglass, a lens of sorts.
The
I
lens of
looked
true
into.
sight.
A monocle, perhaps?
I haven't
Yeah,
heard
a
anything
monocle is what
more.
I
I
was gonna
just
think.
the only thing I've heard reference to is Inquisitor's lens. I was tracking it down a bit further, having be able to use this a little bit myself to identify perhaps the purest of alloys and such for uses in my works. and I had heard the best rumors I'd heard last had it placed somewhere up just on the northern coasts, perhaps in one of the mines that he had holed up in last before he vanished from Legends. I was actually hoping I could hire the lot of you to go look into that, though if you're all intending to go down and take a look at this, take a look at the what was it, like Oracle Lake? Go down and take a look at Oracle Lake. Well, I won't stop you about that. I believe there are others in the area I could always ask to look into the lens.
That lens might be of use in the inverted elements as well. We could use it for future uses dealing with the sigils. That could be of importance with our own issues as well. Am I muted?
You're not muted.
Nope. Serena's pretty much going to agree with that, since having a truth lens is probably going to be useful no matter what you do.
Our first road just why that up. Lily would think, okay, I did not notice that JB was typing in Discord.
Yeah, he's been typing in Discord. He hasn't said anything recently about this though, so I'm waiting to see if he has any comment about what Lily's going to think with this. But I'm not really waiting for him.
He just said stuff.
Yeah, he's been saying stuff here and there.
Yeah. And I get that, G, but it's also one of the things of, we don't know that for sure. It's still weird that it just cuts off right at the lake and disperses around it.
It's possible that there's more than one sigil in that location, and it's causing a distortion.
No, it only pinged once.
You essentially know that it's not that case because you know that it pinged exactly 3 times in Ashenport and once at every other location except for the floating island where the little divination, the dragon knuckle, seemed to kind of freak out.
Perhaps it's a protection from scrying spell or something along those lines. Non-detection. That's interfering with the detection of any sigils there.
Is there just the chance that they just didn't need the storms anymore and then they sent him off just to prevent themselves from being tracked in a certain way?
I think a non-detection makes sense here if they're holed up in that location.
Okay.
We are really breaking up today. Fortune teller. What fortune teller? Why am I forgetting the fortune teller?
This is the fortune teller Lily went to down in Northbridge, but it's not really concerned because Chase apparently has a rather in-depth spellbook.
Alright.
As the NPC character, she has whatever spell I need at any given time. Unless I decide I'm not going to have her have it.
Alright, well, I was just reading what JB's been talking about here since I'm not actually paying attention to Discord whenever I'm...
Yeah.
I only have one screen here. Unless you want to buy me a monitor. If you want to buy me a monitor, I'm welcome.
No. I think we're good.
Yeah. Alright. You gotta have your own place before anyone considers that.
I actually might have a place if my job pans out well enough. Right across the street, too.
Yeah, that's not
though, let's focus on the game itself right now.
Alright.
So you guys more or less you guys have some time to kind of reach your consensus. This has just been like the first day you've gotten back. You haven't even really had the chance to relax in your own beds aside from Maru, who went off immediately to go sleep in her own bed.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's focus on finding this lens. If anything, it will help us with the lake in the future.
Do keep in mind that he was asking it for his own purposes as well, so you'd have to ask him to borrow it, or essentially steal it from him instead of returning it.
Perhaps there's more than one lens.
You'll find out.
All right.
Also, crusades are a good place to find, valuable artifacts in regards to finding out the truth as well. Because some crusades like to. Well, he is labeled an inquisitor, which means his job is to find the truth, or his interpretation of the truth, so to speak.
Another thing to keep in mind is, since I do play Warhammer, my idea of Inquisitors probably aren't nice people.
Inquisitors are never nice people.
No,
My
they're
ideas
never
of
nice
Inquisitors probably aren't nice people by Inquisitor standards.
Yeah. I know at least enough about the lore to go, oh yeah, Inquisitors.
Inquisitors like to inquisit about things.
Usually with sharp stabby bits.
But again, it's their job to find the truth, or at least their interpretation of the truth.
It's
So.
their job to determine if the planet's too far gone and if they should just burn it to the ground.
Basically, sounds about right.
Or witch hunts.
Yeah, regardless, we're not getting into that. So, you guys are more or less kind of agreeing to go towards the north? You want to get any more details or plan out for
Wait,
that or just take a
towards the
rest?
north?
Towards the south.
Towards the south?
The
Towards
south was the lake where the oracles are. The Inquisitor was north.
I say let's look for
Uh.
the Inquisitor. It's a crusade, which means he should be dead.
Yeah, but who knows whether the dead will stay dead. And frankly, especially with a necromancer lurking about.
Fine. We'll go north.
I guess it's a majority vote then, since Lily's out of the picture.
Actually, no, Lily did vote. So what were the rest of you voting? We had one for the north. Lily's actually voting the lake.
I'm voting north.
One north, one
So,
lake.
so let me. I think I got the gist. I think I got the gist of it, but people started screaming outside, so I just had to mute and not pay attention to it first. Just a second. The benefit for going north is finding this truth glass, right?
Essentially, yes. And Arashi is willing to pay people to do this. And the other thing he did mention with this is if you were going to be busy and not able to go north, he was intending to hire someone else to look into it for him.